Hi, Gabby. How are you?
Hi, Umar. We are live here in our platform. Welcome. How's everything? It's been a while.
Everything's good. Everything's good. Can't complain. How's everything on your end? I saw you guys recently moved to Miami, right?
Yes, we've been in Miami for a couple months, and I know you made a move as well. So I will be asking you about that because I think it has a lot to do with what's happening in the world right now. People making a lot of changes, a lot of things are happening.
Sure, sure. Yeah, of course. I'm down.
Awesome. Okay, so let's get started. Umar Ashraf, for the ones who don't know him, he's the founder of TradeZella and Ashraf Capital. He's been a trader for over 10 years now, right?
About exactly 10 years now.
2013. Okay, cool. I got
Mhm.
it right. With massive success, though, because we know anyone nowadays can trade, but there's a big difference in doing it successfully, generating millions of dollars in profits trading. So, welcome, Umar.
Thank you for having me on.
So, just to create a context a little bit of your experience, I know you started trading futures. Could you start telling us a little bit about how you got started in the trading journey and how you went from futures to options, like how that journey has been?
Sure, sure. So, for people that do know, I've been trading for almost about 10 years now. Started off trading, penny stocks, mid caps, small caps, and all that, transitioning into, trading equities and large caps, and then going into options for the past couple of years. And now I'm slowly adding futures to, I guess, my skill set. I've started trading futures for a couple of months now. Been also, focused on order flow for the past year. I've also noticed the market has changed a lot since 2020. Obviously, the market changes every few years. You know how the market is today and what works and what doesn't work. I've noticed will not work in the next 2 3 years. So you as a trader, you have to adapt. One of the main reasons I'm going into futures, or I've started looking into futures, is primarily because of liquidity issues. I can't go into options with $1 million or 2 million or $3 million position. Obviously, I have a really hard time getting filled, getting in and out. So it becomes very hard for me to scale up and down, right? So futures, offers that liquidity with the proper leverage. Equities, there's no problem with, I guess, liquidity at all, but it's just you need a lot of capital, right, to make a good amount of money on equities. And that same amount of capital could be applied to futures, and you can, do very, very well. That's why I transition into futures. Doesn't mean I'm not trading options now. I'm still trading options. I'm still trading futures, and equity is just something new I'm adding to, I guess, my skill set and a new way of reading the market. And you guys will see, even the people that start today or people that started 2 years ago, you guys will see how the market starts transitioning, how the market starts, being different in terms of the way you trade, the way it moves, and the way the setups are presented.
Got it. So, just to make sure I got this right, you started with futures and then recently you've been
No, no, all the way around. I've started trading futures the past,
recent.
6 8 months. Yeah, since
Got
like
it.
last summer. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So how has trading changed in the last couple of years, right? Because 2020, we were in a crazy market. And unfortunately, that's all some people know. All
Yeah.
they know is how crazy it was in 2020. That's when most people got in because basically the stock market went viral, right? Like everyone was talking about it. We were all at home. Everyone knows what happened. So since 2020, right, if we were to compare, like if someone, let's say, got started in 2020 and now we're here in 2023, what do you think have been the main differences and what are you doing differently besides the future?
Sure. So I think one of the big things that changed in the markets, right, is how we started seeing certain moves happen. So some moves that would happen in 2020 or even 2021 don't happen again. So those setups that I used to trade are not really active in the markets anymore. And one of the primary reasons for that is, if you guys are familiar with it, market makers came out with same day expiration options, right? For a lot of names. Like before, we would have expiration options, let's say for SPY, it'd be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. For a lot of other stocks, it would be just on Fridays. Now, when you go into SPX, when you go into SPY, we have the same day expiration options. So now you get a lot of big money involved. You get a lot of market makers involved that sometimes they don't want, they can't really afford the stock or the market to go beyond a certain point. So there's a lot of things that start being played in terms of keeping the stock price at a certain price point. A lot of, I guess, manipulation, if you want to call it, happens. So those same moves that were crystal clear in a way in 2020 or 2021 aren't happening again anymore. So that's where one shift happened. And that shift was, in my opinion, ultimately caused by the influx of retail traders. Retail traders have massively dove into options. That was like the big bread and butter of where retail traders got into. And that, opened up doors for market makers. Market makers are like, hey, the option activity has surged to an all-time high in 2020, 2021. So how about we implement, same day expiration options for, a lot of other instruments. So once that started happening, the volatility and the movements and everything just really shifted. And that's what I've caught on to that little bit later. I didn't think it was going to create the shift that it did. But the one great thing I guess about me that I like that I was able to build is I'm able to adapt with market conditions fairly early. And that's one reason why I have been still actively trading in the markets for almost 10 years now, because every time, a shift does happen, I'm able to protect capital, right, and not blow through it when the shift is happening. Right. So a lot of traders during these transitions, they blow up their account or they have massive drawdowns. These drawdowns or account blown ups is what causes them to not be able to trade again tomorrow or next week. And the main important thing we have is capital. So if our capital is destroyed, we can't trade again. So during these transition periods of seeing things, adjust, grow in a good way or a bad way, we have to just learn to protect it. And that's been a key thing for me.
Yeah, you have to be flexible, right?
Yeah.
Because as time changes, then a lot of things happen. And then sometimes you're doing something that's giving you great results until it doesn't, right?
Yeah.
So you have to adjust. And if we go back to 2013, when you got started, that was way past the 0809 recession. So basically, the tendency, right, from the last 10 years was pretty bullish. And I would say it's like maybe like the first time you're experiencing this as a trader, correct?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I said, it's every few years we'll start seeing these shifts happen. Every few years or few months sometimes on a shorter term period, we'll see markets change, right? So even for some setups that I've had, let's just say the morning top reversal, right? That's worked very well when the market has been on a massive downtrend or the market has been on a negative bias, right? Now, when the market starts holding, the market starts getting a little bit flatter, we go on like a short-term bull rally, those setups don't work, right? So it's also being able to recognize, hey, this setup is great in this market condition, or this setup is great in this kind of environment, and being able to recognize that early on.
Yeah, and in terms of capital, with futures, are you managing the same amount of capital you were before, or have you also adjusted in terms of amount of trades, right? The amount of money you're trading with?
Sure. So for futures, I haven't really scaled to the point I want to scale. I'm still trading, I guess, a little bit smaller just to, get a better understanding of the futures market, get an understanding of, how the contracts are moving, how to kind of trade them, get in and out. It's relatively a lot easier, in my opinion, than options, right? Because everything is straightforward. You don't have data, you don't have decay, you don't have all these other factors that are going to involve, your contracts to move different. So I'm not at the size I would like to be at that I was at with, let's say, options or equities. So I'm slowly building there. And for me, it's always about just building comfortability with certain setups, building comfortability with certain markets before I add size. Because I can, increase my size to the same level and be wrong a few times. And next thing you know, I'm going to take big hits, which I'm not at a place right now doing that with futures.
Yeah, and you've mentioned 2023 has been a very different year for you. I assume for different reasons, right? Transitions and decisions and changes you have made, like so many others. But what do you think have been the main challenges in terms of markets for this year? And what has been maybe like the brightest trade or investment or your brightest moment in terms of markets this year?
Sure. So far this year, I guess we're about 3 months in, right? Quarter one is almost done. Uh, it's been different in terms of there's a lot of noise going on in the world. You see with the banks and everything, all the collapses happening, right? So, that creates a lot of interesting pressure where the pressure, instead of it being fully technical, it's also on a macroeconomic level, right? In terms of news, in terms of, the economy, in terms of now the feds aren't printing money and just jacking the market up. Now we're actually going through, real situations, real market movements and things like that. So reading that is a little bit more difficult, where before, in 2020 and 2021, we've seen people just buy calls and make money. Right now, you can buy calls and everything looks like it's going up, but tomorrow we get some new set of news that puts us in a weird spot. So we haven't gotten the direction that we need primarily from the feds in terms of understanding, will they keep raising rates? Well, if they don't raise rates, what will happen to inflation? Well, if they keep raising rates, what will it do? What other collapses and issues will we start seeing that we don't see right now? Like the banking collapse, a lot of people, didn't see that. Majority of the people, I mean, I'm talking about hedge funds and, multi-billionaires did not see that was going to happen. And those are kind of like the black swan events that we come through. And it comes down to what else will happen if they start increasing interest rates, right? If they start being aggressive. So that's where it puts us, in my opinion, in a level of uncertainty with the markets. And by no means am I, an economist, or I know how to read it from, very advanced point of view, but I can look at certain components that are on a smaller scale and understand the markets. And with that, we don't have direction, and that's putting the market in a tough spot to trade, tough spot to take swings, tough spot to hold positions for a longer period of time.
Got it. So yeah, definitely what has happened, in the geopolitical context, macroeconomic context, has not helped so much, right, with the volatility. And it's been, I think, weird times for all. But what about like the brightest moment of this year by far? What do you think has been something that you could say, wow, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna continue to replicate that, or is it just your transition into futures? Like, what would you say has been the best decision so far in terms of investments or trades and stuff like that?
Best thing with what? I'm sorry, I cut out there for a second.
Yeah, like what has been, do you think, your best trade or investment so far in this year, 2022?
Investment wise, I haven't really talking about from financial instrument aspect. I've been really kind of cash. I haven't really deployed capital in terms of making an investment. And I think staying cash, is an investment in itself, because now you're able to protect capital. So I'm not looking to deploy capital, like if we are talking on a macro level and long-term investing into the markets, maybe until 2024. I'm comfortable in sitting, cash. Some things that I did pick up a little bit, not as much as I'd liked. I picked up more, I guess, Bitcoin under 20K, right? Not as much as I'd like to, but I picked some up.
Well, that's a great one. It's like 28 right now.
Yeah. So I'm still bullish on that. I've been bullish on that. Haven't sold a single one, even though I wish I did, offload some at 60, whatever thousand it hit.
Right.
But yeah, that's something that I think with this recent bank collapse is something that more attention, more money's flowing into. But besides that, personally, I'm looking to stay cash this whole year. I don't really see anything on a macro level. I'm just kind of trying to dive into, intraday trading, build up more capital. And when the market, I think, does present a good opportunity, when noise does start going down, there's certain names I'd love to pick up. You go into Amazon, you go into names like Square, you go into names like Tesla. I would love Tesla, but not even at these prices, I think, or, market has factored them in a lot higher. I think Tesla back at 100 would be a good price. Even below 100 would be a good price to pick them up at, which sounds absurd. But, with a crazy market, I think all that's possible.
I mean, we've seen everything, right?
Yeah.
We've seen Facebook drop over 90%. It's been really out of this world. So I love that. We spoke to a couple experts earlier, more like at an institutional level, hedge fund manager and economist who also manages a fund. And it's interesting because one is very bullish in Bitcoin, the way you are. And what the two had in common was international investments and commodities. So very interesting, because they actually don't know each other. It's not like they spoke and agreed, right, to say that. But so I wanted to ask you about that. You're clear, you're going to prefer to remain in cash until next year. You're not planning to make any major investments. But what do you think about investing internationally, meaning outside of the US, of course? and commodities, right? So by that I mean gold, copper, silver, lithium, stuff like that.
I mean, I personally have no experience in investing in gold, copper, or any commodities at all. I've never invested into them. I've traded gold before, but investment wise, I've never really looked into it, and it's never really been something I've really been personally attracted to. No reason. Once again, not really into it much. Same thing with international investments. Not something I've kind of opened myself to at this stage right now. So
Got
I
it.
can't comment on it. Yeah,
Not
I
so
wish I had some input, but if I don't have a strong foundation on something, I can't give a comment on it.
well, I also think you're like more modern, like, because commodities is kind of like an older thing, I feel like, right? Like all the old people invest in gold and
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say it's an older thing. It's yeah, it does go into I guess the newer generation is more into the new technology and things like that. Like there's like a war between should I invest money in gold or should I invest money in Bitcoin,
yeah,
right? So I guess the newer generation, if you want to divide them to, is more intrigued by gold. I mean, more intrigued by Bitcoin than gold. The older generation, they don't understand Bitcoin. It doesn't make sense to them. It's not tangible, right? So
exactly.
there does become this new battle, I guess, of what will be the stronger one. And if you ask me, I would rather put my money in Bitcoin opposed to gold. It's just
Yeah. I mean, you look at the performance, and of course, Bitcoin is so volatile. You have to have the stomach for it, right? The mindset, and
I
really,
think, yeah. See, even with that, right? I think you need to have the stomach for it if you look at it on a day-to-day basis. If I look at it every day, every week, every month, I need to have a stomach for it. But I think if you're investing in Bitcoin, knowing it's 10 years early, we're still what 13 years, 14 years old, very early, and you're
yeah,
like, hey, I plan to hold this for 30 years. Let's just say, for argument's sake, look at it every 5 years, right? If you look at Bitcoin since it came out, and let's say we divided it in a span of 5 years, every five years, and you looked at it 3 times, right? No matter where you invested in those 5 years, unless you invested at the high of 2020, 2021, whatever it was, you are up, right?
yeah,
So prior to that, if you invested 5 years ago, right now, no matter where Bitcoin is up, you are still up year to date, right? If you invested 10 years ago, you are still up. Even if you invested early 2020, you're still up. And even in some spaces between 2021 and so on, you're still essentially up. So it's the same concept where if I start looking at this instrument on a day-to-day basis, yeah, you at that point you do need a stomach for it, in my opinion. But when you spread out an investment like this, you have to understand that it is volatile, and for things like this, you have to kind of spread out your understanding of how long you would hold it for. Like if I go into Bitcoin tomorrow and I'm looking to hold it for 1 year, it's very hard to identify where we'll be in 1 year. But it's easier for me to say in 5 years Bitcoin will be up, or in 10 years Bitcoin will be a lot higher than it is now.
yeah, and the potential, right? Like for return investment, it's hard for us to even put a number on that. But I think gold, if you go back 100 years, it's a bit of a boring investment, right? I mean, it's known as like the most popular inflation hedge, but I don't think you can compare if we look at the trajectory of each in terms of potential, right? So you said you're not investing internationally, but you did move outside of the US, Umar, and I don't know, did you announce, is this an exclusive or did you
I
announce this?
didn't. No, I didn't. I guess I didn't really talk about it. I was telling you we're looking to open up a trading floor here. We're in the process of that, so I guess maybe then. Like
But it hasn't been like announced, right? Like Umar moves to Dubai.
no, I don't. No, I haven't done any of that. But yeah,
So
like I
I
said,
have the exclusive. So share with us, like, what made you decide that, and tell us a little bit about why Dubai.
sure. So as I was mentioning before, we're looking to open up a trading floor, right? We're in the process of that right now, and we were stuck between 3 different places. One being New York, one being Miami, Florida, right? And then the third being, which is kind of out of all 3 of them or 2 of them, was Dubai, right? And Dubai was picked for various reasons. I've came here multiple times in the past 5 6 years. I've lived here. I've stayed here. In terms of environment wise, I love it. I think it's very safe, very clean, good weather. Weather is important to me. New York has terrible weather, so I didn't like. That's one thing I don't like about New York. I also think in terms of direction wise, as a country or a place, I think Dubai is going in the right direction, in my opinion. There's other factors of taxes, right? There's no taxes here at all, right? So if you have a firm and let's just say your firm makes $10 million, your firm's take home is 10 million, right? Now you can reinvest that 10 million next year, and now you can grow to 20, then 30, then 40, then 50. Now in terms of being in let's say Miami or New York, right? Your firm makes 10 million. In terms of individual point of view, you're paying about 50% to 55% in taxes. So your 10 million is 5 million. Now you need to invest that. You grow to 10 million again. You're kind of stuck between this weird cycle. So taxes played a role, environment played a role. Getting, I guess, understanding that this is growing as a massive financial hub in the world was also a big thing. And personally, I just wanted kind of a change, and I did want to spend time out of, I guess, United States for some time. It's not a permanent move for the rest of my life. I don't look at things from a point of view where, hey, I'm going to live here forever now. I look at things from like a 2-year, maybe a 3-year point of view. Hey, for the next 2-3 years, I'll commit to this, and then reset from there and see.
Yeah, I think nowadays nobody can really like say, okay, for the rest of my life, the things keep changing, right? And I
Yeah.
don't want to be negative or anything, but there even talks about, maybe there's going to be a war, maybe, things are going to change drastically. Like, we wake up and we have all this breaking news all the time. So it's a little bit hard to, I think nowadays, to really commit. In terms of real estate, have you decided to make some investments, or again, that's not something you want to consider for this year?
Yeah, I'm actually looking to dive more into it, more so into in the States, right? Obviously I'm a US citizen, so I'm still kind of, have things over there. It's not like, hey, I left and never going back there ever again. So yeah, in the States, we are looking at some things. Primarily for tax write-offs. It's great. So just a quick thing on real estate. So real estate works two ways. A lot of people know real estate from a cash flow perspective, where hey, it'll make me 5% or 10% of my money. Another great advantage of real estate is if you are making good amounts of money, it will help you lower your tax bill. It will help you save a lot of money on taxes. You may not see that in cash flow, but you will see your paper net worth go up a lot higher by investing into the right vehicles, right? So that's where real estate to me is very important on helping me lower a tax bill back home, back in the States. And we are looking, we are trying to find stuff, but there also comes this weird shift with the current market, where it's going with interest rate uncertainty. But if you are patient and if you are sitting in cash, a lot of times opportunities do come. But it's just, hey, I'm not in a rush. If we find the right deal that makes sense, we'll work on it. But I'm not actively going and saying, hey, my biggest priority is to accumulate X amount of real estate in the next 30-40 days.
Yeah, and I'll be very curious how it is. I mean, I know a lot about the U.S. market because I'm an investor here, but in Dubai would be interesting. I would assume a lot of people are investing gold, right? I mean,
No, real estate here has been booming. It's insane. From 2020, so a little backstory. In 2020, I was planning to make a move here, end of 2020, and I was looking at this place that I wanted. And at that time, the place was going for about 2 to 2.2 million, right? That same place right now is about 3.5 to 4 million. It's essentially
oh
doubled.
no, oh my
Yeah.
God. In a
So
couple of years, that's
in
insane.
3 years, yeah, and some places have legitimately doubled because the other side of Dubai that has caused this massive rush of people here is the Ukraine and Russia war,
Hmm.
because Dubai did not sanction off Russia. So because of that, a lot of Russians are coming here. A lot of people from
I
Ukraine are
was
also
not aware of that they didn't sanction off Russia because
no,
the Swiss banks that are going down. Well, it has a lot to do with all these Russian billionaires having taken money out of their banks, right? So
yeah,
that's amazing to know, and of course the tax program, right? Because something similar happened in Puerto Rico when I was living there. The prices doubled from 2020 to 2022 in 2 years. And I was one
yeah.
of the fortunate ones to invest in 2019 before the pandemic, right? And then in the next couple of years, I was like, what is going on? But it had a lot to do with people moving out of the cities, nice weather, and the tax program, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, from my understanding, tax. Even I considered Puerto Rico in 2019, 2018, right?
I remember,
And
yeah.
Yeah, and even then I saw properties like what was it called, that area, it's not coming to my,
Dorado.
Dorado. Yeah, I looked in properties in Dorado, and they weren't as expensive as 2021. I looked at them in 2021, they like tripled some of them.
Yeah.
And it made sense in some people's situation, like a 2 million or 3 million property I saw went to like 8, 9 million in some areas. And I'm like, why did go up this much? And it makes sense because you'll pay 9 million for a property, but you're saving 20, $30 million in taxes. So it's still like whatever, right?
Exactly. For some people, it's like a free house. They were
Mhm.
going to pay that in taxes anyway, so might as well
Exactly. So
buy.
so places like that just went up like crazy. I think a lot of people also during the pandemic realized, oh, I don't have to stay at the place I'm staying at. I have no benefit, especially on lockdowns. Like, hey, I'm living in Miami. I can operate my business by staying in my apartment. Why don't I go to Puerto Rico? Why don't I go to these places where I do get advantages in the tax program?
Got it. Yeah, that's definitely something that a pattern we saw right in the last
Yeah.
couple of years. So, Umar, we're arriving at the conclusion, and I saved the best for last, and that's a project, something you've been working on for many years. It's called TradeZella. I want you to share with us more about it. For the ones that don't know what this is, it basically helps you track, analyze, and improve your trading. You call it your trading buddy. Can you tell us
Yeah.
more about it? What can we expect? What are the new features and when we can be part of it?
Sure. So TradeZella is, in simple terms, it's a trading journal, right? One thing with traders is they, are quick to jump to the markets. Essentially, the way I look at it is when we go and we trade, we essentially have a business. Trading is our business. So if anyone here was to open up a business, right? I'm pretty sure you guys would be tracking everything, right? Tracking what are you making, what are you selling, how many products you have left, all these things. So what do you pay employees? What are you left with at the end of the month? What product is selling the best? What's the worst product? What product sells the best? When you might realize, hey, we sell this water bottle, and on Fridays we sell out. That means on Thursdays you might want to restock more, so you're prepared for that move, or that sellout that comes on Friday. So that comes into like analyzing and tracking your business, right? And the crazy part is in every business, people are tracking things, right? They're tracking their business. They have balance sheets, profit and loss statements, and so on. But the weird thing is traders don't do that. Traders immediately open an account, buy, sell, make money, lose money, go on the next day without analyzing themselves. So what we kind of focus on, we have a mission, and that mission is to kind of help retail traders become profitable. And the way we plan to do that is by enforcing journaling, the right methods to journaling, by giving them the right information. So the idea is you take your data, download your CSV, or you connect it to your broker. If you do have a broker sync with you, we pull your data, or you upload a CSV. Once it's uploaded, we have all your data is on TradeZella. Once it is all on Zella, you can see it. You can see what days do you do well on, what times do you trade well on, what's your risk difference, right? Some people might have a 90% win ratio. They might say, wow, out of 100 trades, I'm right on 90 of them, but I lose on 10 of them. But those 10 you lose on, the loss is 5 times bigger than the ones you make money on, right? So something very, very small. Then you might start realizing your mental patterns. Wow, on Mondays I lose money. Why do I lose money on Mondays, right? So those patterns and those behaviors start coming up more, seriously. Then we start enforcing, hey, before you go on to a trading day, write down what your game plan is. Come back to your game plan. So we have like a notebook in there. Whatever trades you take, you can go back in time. So let's say on February 15th of last month, you took a trade. You traded SPY from 9:40 a.m. to 10 a.m. You can go back to that trade, hit replay, and you can play the same action that happened second by second and be like, oh, wow, why did I buy here? Oh, wow, why did I sell here? Because in the moment when we're trading, a lot of the times the trades make sense in the moment. But when we're off our screens and we come back to it, we're like, wow, this was such a stupid mistake. And the only way we can build from that is if we start tracking, we start optimizing, we start paying attention to our habits, our cues, what makes us take trades, what makes us sell. Why are we selling early? Oh, I'm selling early because I see a little bit green and that causes me to sell. Well, I keep looking at my P&L. Or sometimes you hold a trade until your stop, beyond your stop gets hit. So these things need to be really, really emphasized on, and that's what we are trying to kind of transition into, the retail space. Because I've noticed essentially 90% of retail traders, even more, don't journal or track their trades. And if you ask them, hey, how long have you been trading for? 2 years. Are you profitable? No. Okay. So you've been trading for 2 years? Yes. So what is your biggest issue? I can't make money. Why? I don't know. Every time I make, I lose. Okay, what's your setup? I don't have a setup. What's your playbooks? I don't have a playbook. Okay, what's your average risk size? I don't know. Right? There's no real answer. So my response to that always is, well, you haven't been trading for 2 years. You've opened an account and you're just throwing money at the market, and the money's being burned. You're not taking it serious. My opinion on that is, I think you're taking it serious the day you start keeping data collection of whatever business it is, right? That's the only way you will have success, in my opinion, and everything and anything in life, right? You need to track every component, especially components that you want to improve. If you start tracking it, you start paying attention to it, you start giving yourself the highest possibility of doing well, in my opinion.
Data collection, I think that word is key. It's even like for anything, right? If you want to lose weight, you need to track your weight. Like, where are you today and in 1 month? So identifying those patterns, that's key, right? To be able to be profitable. So you're basically solving this big problem, big issue most people have, that they're not tracking their trading journey with this journal. And when can we expect for it to be available? Like, so we can
So we're available now. It just depends if we support your broker or not. The biggest problem is that, every broker has different methods of sharing data, different TSV methods, different ways they label a stock as, or break down, break down their data. So it depends. We support about 20 brokers plus right now. Like a lot of the main ones, you go to TradeOvate, Interactive Brokers, you go to Thinkorswim, like the massive ones we support. So that's all available. People can go on the website right now if they want to join, and kind of take it from there.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so we know it's available now. It supports about 20 brokers, and we know it's a tool that's going to help you basically be profitable, because the moment you start, like you said,
if you use it right. So I do want to talk about that too, and it's not even talking about TradeZella. It's talking about every tool, right? If there is a tool, you can't just buy something, even a course. You can't buy something and say, well, I'm going to buy this tool, be it it's $10,000 or be it it's $10, and it's going to make me profitable. It's going to make me better.
right?
No, the tool will allow you to get to your goal faster, but you still have to do the things required in that tool, right? Be it you go to the gym. Just because you get a gym membership doesn't mean you're going to get fit. You have to go to the gym and you have to do the workouts, right? A lot of people have this misconception. Well, hey, Gabby, I paid X amount. Why am I not profitable? Well, are you doing the work that is required in that ecosystem for you to perform well, right? So yeah, it's a tool that will help you, but you have to journal. You have to take the right steps. You have to, journal the right way. There's a right way of journaling, and there's also a wrong way of journaling, right? So you need to do the right steps to give yourself the highest probability of success.
It's like any tool; it can help you, but it's up to you. And my last question is: Are you're trading futures, but are you also teaching that or no?
So I've kind of stopped teaching since like last year. I just,
Is there a reason for that? You're just not interested anymore?
There was a lot of reasons for it, from a mental point of view, and it's just something that I kind of wanted to take a break from. I wasn't really interested in it much. So kind of in 2022 last year, I just took a break from it, and even like haven't promoted anything. Even the company we did have, Stock Market Lab, we essentially shut it down. We're opening up. Yeah, we're opening up. We're planning to open up something new, right? We are going to get back into the education space, but it's going to be a lot different than what it was before, right? Like what my ultimate focus is going into this year in that space is we are building a trading floor. We want good traders on the trading floor and just grow that. Yeah, so like an in-person trading floor, we're going to probably start off with 10 to 12 traders, try to scale that up as much as possible here in Dubai. And then from there, on the education space, we are looking to start something again. But right now, I'm not 100% sure.
It's not the priority. The TradeZella basically has taken up like the priority seat.
Yeah, TradeZella has taken up majority of the time going into this year now. I think with TradeZella too, we have a pretty solid and strong team of everyone that is, kind of making sure we are hitting our monthly goals. We are delivering products. Like even if anyone on here was on TradeZella 6 months ago, or even 3 months ago, every month we're pushing out so many features. We have over 8 to 10 engineers just working on this month over month. So we have a really strong team. We have a very extensive roadmap that, some of the features that I don't want to say what they are, just because I know people like there's competitors and things. I don't want to copy that. Right. until it comes out. So it's like even some of the features that we are coming out with, some small things like paper trading. We will have paper trading in the next couple of weeks. Like the replay feature was big, right? A lot of reports to understand how do you trade when the market, how do you trade on your first trade? How do you trade after your space season trades? Like a lot of small little reports. We've created like a whole new notebook section, like the deep, very, very deep notebook. Where you can keep everything in one aspect, upload files, upload pictures, have multiple charts open. The replay thing, once again, we added a playbook feature, which people that have seen it, you can track mistrades, trades that do fit into a certain playbook, share those playbooks with other TradeZella users and things like that. So TradeZella is kind of going into a self-automated kind of build. Now the shift for me personally is going into the trading floor. And then from there, like I said, we'll kind of see what the education space consists of, if we do plan to go into it heavy or not.
Awesome. Well, it sounds exciting. Your other plans were about the trading floor and the TradeZella, all these new features every month. So I'm looking forward to learning more about it, seeing more of it. I'm always happy to support you, and I would love to visit you. We talked about it to Dubai because I want to.
Yeah, no, I would love that. I would love to, have you guys here. If, whenever you plan, let me know. I'm here. Maybe not in the summer. I would advise don't come in the summer. I've never been here during the summer, but I've heard they're brutal. So maybe in like June, I plan to leave until September. But anytime other than that, I mean, I'm here.
Awesome. Well, I'll make sure I send you an early invitation for our June anniversary party that we're having in Miami for Latino Wall Street.
Perfect. Yeah, if I'm back, I'd love to be there.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Umar, for your time. I'm always happy to connect, and we'll catch you soon.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.